next presidential elections is going to be taking place on June 2026. We are going to be finding out who exactly is going to be FC Barcelona's next president after Joan Laporta. And yes, there is a chance for Joan Laporta to get re-elected. That is the intentions coming from Laporta. He does want to run once again and continue to build off of this work that he has been building in the past 5 years. For sure, Joan Laporta has been one of the most successful presidents in the history of FC Barcelona, but there has always been those concerns that have lingered around, like how he did handle the Messi departure, how he did handle Xavi's departure from Barcelona. Many have also spoken about the financial situation and why Barcelona would pull those levers and sell future assets and its income. There has been questions, but the main objective for Joan Laporta is for him to be re-elected on June 2026, meaning that in the summer of 2025, that will be the last summer transfer window that Joan Laporta will have to reinforce this squad. The reason why this is important is because if Joan Laporta wants to get re-elected, he has to do as much as possible right now to make sure he just convince the socios that he can go for another 4 to 5 years. But he has to show the proof of work on why he does deserve that title. And the best way you can show your proof is by reinforcing this squad, making this squad successful, and winning trophies. Which is why I do think that in that summer of 2025, it's going to be a huge summer. It's going to be the last chance, and Joan Laporta has his eyes set on it. And so I am going to be recommending 5 total free agents that Joan Laporta should sign. It's not going to be all of them, even though it would be nice to see Joan Laporta sign all of them. These are just going to be my 5 recommendations, and maybe 2 to 3 of these players could be signed in the next summer. So we are going to be revolving around Salah from Liverpool, Alphonso Davies from Bayern Munich, Jonathan Tah from Bayer Leverkusen, Jonathan David from Lille, and then we have Trent Alexander-Arnold also from Liverpool. These will be the 5 players that Barcelona could achieve if they want to on a free transfer. We are not going to be speaking about who Barcelona should go for and spend more than 65 million euros. We have had conversations about that already. We have spoken about Nico Williams, Rafael Leao, we have spoken about Gyökeres, Erling Haaland. That is for a whole other separate conversation. We're just going to be focusing on the free agents because I believe that there's an opportunity here to really make this squad great without spending a lot of money on transfer fees. So Salah currently does earn around 18 million euros a season with Liverpool. Alphonso Davies earns around 6 million euros a season with Bayern Munich. Tah earns 3 million euros a season with Bayer Leverkusen. We have Jonathan David earning around 4 million euros a season gross with Lille, and then we have Trent who does earn around 12 million euros a season. So in total, like let's just say for example, Barcelona decide to go for all of these players. In total, it's 43 million euros a year for 5 total players. Once again, I'm not saying that it's going to be all of these players that will be coming in. It's just that it's nice to know that even if they wanted to do this, if Joan Laporta were to let go of Frenkie de Jong, Ansu Fati, Ferran Torres, and Christensen, those 4 players themselves take out 52 million euros a season from FC Barcelona, more than how much these 5 free agents do cost. Frenkie does earn 19 million euros a season, Ansu earns 40 million euros a season, Ferran also earns 10 million euros a season, and then we have Christensen earning 9 million euros a season, which does lead towards that 52 million euro mark in terms of salaries. The reason why the salary conversation is very important is because, okay, look, like, yeah, all of these players are going to be for free. Salah, Davies, Tah, Jonathan, and Trent, but their wages might be massive. We don't know how much these players are going to be asking for, and we do have a wage bill. We have a certain restriction that is placed by Javier Tebas in La Liga. So overall, right, in order for us to get 2 to 3 players from these 5 group of players, we have to let go of players that we have right now. And I do think that those 4 players could be Frenkie, Ansu, Ferran, and Christensen. The reason why these players are trying to play as much as possible, and like even though they might end up doing well this season, it does not matter, because if they can play well, if Frenkie can continue to score goals, provide assists, same thing with Ansu, same thing with Ferran, same thing with Christensen, even though we might not see a future with them, it's better for them to perform so we can leverage that sell in the future and sell them for a good amount, and at the same time release a lot of salary fees. So let's go into greater detail about these 5 free agents. I'm going to be naming my 2 to 3 players that I believe for sure Barcelona should go for, and then leave the other 2 out. So starting with Mohamed Salah, who plays for Liverpool. Keep in mind that Liverpool do want to renew the contract with Salah, and Salah has been showing like a lot of frustration because of the pace of talks that has been going, right? So there's a lot of uncertainty going around between Liverpool and him. He does want these talks to progress faster, but nothing has been going on. There's also been proposals coming from Saudi Arabia, so if Salah is interested in the money only, then for sure Barcelona will not be signing this player because they're not going to be competing against a team in Saudi Arabia. It's very similar to the situation of Rafinha. Like, we almost lost Rafinha 4 months ago in the summer because Saudi Arabia was willing to offer Rafinha like 40 million euros a season. And if Rafinha was interested in money, he would have left to Saudi Arabia just like that, and Barcelona would have lost on the player. So it's a very similar situation. But if Salah wants more sporting success, he wants to continue to play in top European football like Lewandowski, I can can really see Salah slot at this club. He can easily be the backup to Lamine Yamal, or when Lamine Yamal is injured, like what we saw in the past 3 weeks, Salah can come in and provide the exact same type of range that Yamal does have. I do think that right now Lamine Yamal is slightly better than him, but it does not mean that Salah should be ignored. Salah can be a great utility player for FC Barcelona, and in the past 3 years, he has never slowed down his game. Currently, he does have 20 matches played, 13 goals scored, and 11 assists. That is a world-class player. And then looking at the chart here in terms of offensive duels won and the offensive duels per 90, Mohamed Salah is not really like the best in the world when it comes to these two stats here. You can see him on the far left, but then you also do have Lamine Yamal really bossing the stats, right? He's one of the best in the world in terms of offensive duels won and offensive duels per 90. Salah and Lamine Yamal are not that close, but still, it is the exact same type of playing styles that these two players do carry. And that's very important in terms of the type of profile we are looking for to reinforce Lamine Yamal's position. Here's also going to be another very interesting graph. When it comes to the key passes per 90 and the smart passes per 90, Lamine Yamal is almost at the top, one of the best in the world. Lamine Yamal knows how to find players inside the box. For context, if you look at Rafinha, he is really good at key passes per 90, a little better than Lamine Yamal, but Lamine Yamal destroys Rafinha in smart passes per 90. And then you do have Salah right there in the middle with the rest of the players. Not the best, but still good enough. Most importantly though, even if he does not provide like the best possible key passes per 90, the best possible smart passes per 90, or he does not win the most offensive duels on the pitch, honestly, that is almost irrelevant because Salah is a player that brings experience. He brings the champion mentality. It's going to be a very similar move to the one of Gundogan. Gundogan came into Barcelona and he was the one that provided the experience, the leadership, the type of consulting that the youngsters needed. And Salah can be that to Lamine Yamal. He can be that to Gavi or Pedri or Alejandro Balde and Kubarsi. So now let's move on towards Alphonso Davies at Bayern Munich. Now, keep in mind that the reason why Alphonso Davies exists today and why everybody knows about the player, it is because of Hansi Flick, and he currently does coach FC Barcelona. So why would this move not even happen? I know that there are conversations between Real Madrid and Davies. Real Madrid are a huge fan of Alphonso Davies, and they have been showing that in the past few years. And so if Barcelona want to come in and just think that they can just take Davies away from Madrid, it's going to be very hard to do so. There's going to have to be a lot of convincing if Barcelona want to achieve such a signing. Also, Davies is a player that does demand a certain amount of money that I don't even think Joan Laporta is going to be agreeing with. It could be around 15 to 20 million euros. Does Barcelona want to commit to that much? We'll see. The good thing is that he is going to be a free agent, and so if he does not renew with Bayern Munich, that basically means that you can restart negotiations. You don't have to go off what that player has been paid before. Once a player's contract does die down completely, you can restart everything from the very bottom. So like if a player was getting paid, let's just say for example 50 million euros a season or something crazy like that, once he does become a free agent, you can just say we're going to offer you only 9 million euros a season. We're not obligated to pay you just 50 million euros a season. So here's the thing, right? Like I feel like when we look at Davies and his time at Bayern Munich, like he has been amazing for Bayern, but for some reason it has never been the same since 2019. You just have that feeling that he does need to revive his career, and I believe that the best way you can do that is by going to a team like FC Barcelona where Hansi Flick is there. When we compare Davies and Alejandro Balde, two left backs potentially for the next season, they're very similar players. Balde does beat Davies in certain aspects like aerial percentage or duels, but overall they're very much even, very much similar players, and that will be amazing to see Davies and Balde try to battle it out on the left back position. Let them compete for a starting spot. Healthy competition is always going to be welcomed. I mean, like look at the midfield of Barcelona right now. We can't even decide what's going to be our set double pivot right now. Is it Casado? Is it Gavi? Is it Pedri? Is it Frankie? Once Marc Bernal does come in, he's also going to have a say. So we need that type of healthy competition in all areas, and especially for Alejandro Balde. Alejandro Balde needs that. I don't want him thinking that the left back position is his and that no one else can take it away from him, because like for example Gerard Martin is not going to be doing anything. Looking at this graph, right, in terms of progressive runs per 90 and accelerations per 90, Davies and Alejandro Balde are right next to each other within these group of players in the top 5 European leagues. They're almost the exact same player. So I believe that signing Davies while we do have Balde is a wonderful idea. Now let's move on towards Jonathan Tah, who does play for Bayer Leverkusen. Now I think that out of all players that we are discussing for tonight, Jonathan Tah has the most probability to join Barcelona, like for sure. There has already been a report that came out earlier today that has stated Barcelona have reached an agreement in principle with Binizavi for the transfer of Jonathan Tah. The deal is advanced, and barring any surprises, Tah is expected to join Barcelona next season. And Tah also does want to join FC Barcelona. Now, Madrid obviously do want to have Jonathan Tah. Bayer Leverkusen are looking to renew his contract, but Jonathan Tah is very convinced that his next move should be at FC Barcelona and nowhere else. And I think that this could be a great signing for the club. We have Araujo, we have Kubarsi, we have Inigo Martinez. Players like Eric Garcia and Christensen could leave. If we can add in Jonathan Tah to our group of center backs, it would be a great reinforcement, better than Alphonso Davies for Alejandro Balde. And I say that because right now, Jonathan Tah is ranked at number 5 when it comes to accurate progressive passes percentage within the top 7 leagues in the world. Number 1 is Malik from Milan, who is 23 years old. There's Stefan from Inter Milan, who's 32 years old in second place. In third place comes Akanji from Man City. We have Jay Van Hecke in fourth place, who plays for Brighton. And then we do have Jonathan Tah in fifth place with a total of 88.04. These are amazing numbers. Also keep in mind that he is a aerial duel monster. He knows how to win balls in the air. Better than Ronald Araujo, better than Lewandowski. If you want to win an aerial duel, whether it's through a set piece or through a corner kick, or you have to defend your backline after a long ball, you want to bet on Jonathan Tah. Now let's move on towards Jonathan David from Lille. There has already been numerous reports about Jonathan David wanting to join FC Barcelona. He's crazy for this move, right next to Rafael Leao, and this guy has been amazing so far. In the past 5 seasons that he has had, his numbers has only gotten better and better. Back in the 2022-2023 season, with 40 matches played, he scored 26 goals and provided 4 assists. In the following season, a little drop in performance, but still good, right? 47 matches played, 26 goals and 7 assists. But this season that we're in right now, he has only played 22 matches and already has 15 goals and 2 assists. That's like 0.9 goal contributions per 90. That is really, really good. And currently in the Champions League, from those 15 goals and 2 assists, he has 6 goals and 2 assists in the Champions League. He's also a workhorse. He knows how to press. He enjoys pressing. He loves to cause chaos to the backline whenever they do have the ball. Jonathan David is just that guy. And I don't know if he's going to be considered as like a prime reinforcement to Lewandowski, like our next definitive number 9, or he could be a backup to our main number 9. But for sure, Jonathan David could be a player that we do need. The number 9 options that we have now is Lewandowski, Ferran Torres, and Pau Victor. I, in my opinion, do not trust Ferran Torres. I would much rather put my faith on someone like Jonathan David, and we can build around Lewandowski, Jonathan David, and Pau Victor. On a free transfer, I believe that Jonathan David would really be worth it. And he's also 24 years old, so he's only going to grow from here once he does join FC Barcelona. And so now lastly, I want to speak about Trent, and this one is going to be very quick because honestly, out of all of these players that we have been talking about, Trent is the least likely to go to FC Barcelona. Even though he has been a fan and has shown to be a fan of FC Barcelona, I believe that he is destined to join Real Madrid or to renew with Liverpool. But I would say that there is a 8 to 10% chance that Barcelona could sign him if they really want to go for him, because we have heard a lot of news about Salah looking for a 2-year contract, and at the same time we have heard a lot of news of Trent willing to sign a contract extension with Liverpool very soon. This has been confirmed by David Ornstein, who has also said that he's looking to have a long-term deal with Liverpool. But the reason why I wanted to bring him up is because I think that overall we need to have this conversation about what happens when Jules Koundé is having a bad performance or a bad spell or he is injured. What happens to Barcelona? Because right now we do not even have a reliable right back outside of Jules Koundé. Koundé, for example, right, in the past 2 to 3 games, he has not been the best. It would have been great to see Trent just come in and step in and outperform Jules Koundé. And then in the end, we get the healthy competition that we have been always looking for. Very similar to Alphonso Davies and Alejandro Balde. Very similar to Casado and Gavi. Very similar to Pedri and Olmo. Koundé needs that type of challenge. Somebody like Trent would be a good reinforcement, but I just don't think that this possibility exists. I believe that there's a chance, but as of now, I'm going to give this possibility a 2 out of 10 or 3 out of 10. I was comparing Trent and Jules Koundé. As a matter of fact, on this graph here, you can see that Jules Koundé is far superior in terms of aerial duels in general, but in terms of like the carrying with the ball, crosses, expected assists, progressive passes, defensive actions, Trent Alexander-Arnold is either better than Jules Koundé or does match him up, and that's very important. Can you imagine Trent like playing on the right back position with our group of players inside the box, right? Like his crosses are going to be so needed. He's one of the best crossers in the world. And so in the end, this is going to be my final conclusion. These are the best 5 players that Barcelona should be keeping an eye on in terms of free transfers. If I were to pick only 2, I would say Jonathan Tah and Alphonso Davies. Because if we cannot get Salah for whatever reason, that's fine. We have Tony Fernandes from La Masia. If we cannot get Jonathan David, that's totally fine. We continue with Lewandowski. We continue with Pau Victor, and maybe we can bring in Vitor Roque. And if we cannot get Trent, no worries. Jules Koundé is always going to be a great right back for us, and at the same time, we can always build with Hector Fort. So to me, in the end, it would be Jonathan Tah and Alphonso Davies. If Barcelona can go for a 3rd player in terms of free transfers, then the next player that I would choose would be Salah to reinforce the right wing position. But once again, if not, we can always build with Tony Fernandes, who is very young. Like he's like 16 or 17 years old. And so let me know in the comment sections down below, out of these 5 players, what 2 to 3 players would you choose? Or do you have other ideas? Do you believe that there's another free transfer out there that Barcelona should strive for? Let me know in the comment sections down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.